watching Real Talk with SlapStik on SlapStik TV. Hey, shut the hell up. Rodney Perry got some shit to say here on SlapStik TV.
Tell me about one of the worst shows that you had.
Oh wow, great question. I did a show at the Comedy Store, 1998. Just moved to LA, and I went on stage. Not on stage 30 seconds before I started bombing. This dude right there, I can still see him like it was yesterday. He started booing me. Boo! Long story short, the boos escalated into the whole crowd booing me. And if you've never been booed before, it's a harrowing experience. So I'm getting booed. Started to try to retaliate at the audience. The hostess came out, Guy Torrey. He came out. He's like, "Yo, Rod, man." Now he didn't even know me. He didn't say Rod. He was like, "Hey, you can't talk about my audience like that. It's just not your night." So he came on. He started talking about me. I'm behind the sheer curtain, looking like this is not why I'm here. So I'm behind the curtain. He's like, "Man, I hope that dude didn't fly out here because he ain't gonna be able to get back on the plane with them bombs." I was like, "Oh, that hurt." But then it changed. Somebody in the audience like, "Well, he didn't even get a chance. Y'all didn't give him a chance. Let him come back." He's like, "Y'all want him to come back?" He's like, "Yeah, let him come back." I came back out there. I did the joke that I would have closed on. Got a laugh and bounced. And I can just remember at that point feeling like I had run the gamut of emotion. I went from losing to winning within minutes, and I knew that I would move to LA at that point because I hadn't moved to LA yet. It was 1998. I moved to LA probably a couple of months after that, and grinded it out ever since.
Something that you dislike about the level?
I can remember just wanting to travel, and sometimes the travel can be really taxing and draining, you know. Early morning flights, going through the airport, pulling out all your stuff, getting naked, you know, that can weigh you out sometimes. My favorite color, I think it's blue. I like blue. I like cool colors, but I like earth tones too, so blue and everything earthy. I don't know.
Okay, so everything earthy. Or has there ever been a point where you felt I just can't do this, or it's not working?
Only once, and it was way before that. I was doing comedy. I was in the Navy in New Orleans, and I went and did a gong show and got gonged. These people gonged the shit out of me. You know what I'm saying? They went and found other things to throw at the gong, like glasses and iron. I think I saw a TV hit the gong, and they gonged me. And I remember I got gonged, but I didn't leave. You know, usually you get gonged, you leave, and I didn't leave. And this dude came past. He walked past. He's like, "You still here?" I was like, "Oh." So, and I quit for maybe a week. And in that week is when I met my best friend Harry. And Harry was so funny to me. We was in the Navy and we used to play dominoes in the barracks. So we were playing dominoes, and Harry told this dude named PJ. Harry told PJ, they was talking about each other, and PJ was just killing him. Harry, he just looked up at the dominoes saying, "You know what? If I was your dentist, I'd just throw a cherry bomb in your mouth and say, fuck it." And the place just exploded. And I was like, "Oh, this dude is so funny." And so I started telling him, "Man, I used to do comedy, but you should try it." He's like, "I ain't doing no comedy." You know, he's like, "I'll do it if you do it with me." And we became a comedy team, Ratchet Rod Comedy Explosion. And Harry and I became that, and that got me back in the game, and I never stopped doing comedy since then.
And so that brings me to this question. So before...
I'm bringing you a lot of places.
Yeah, you bringing me all around. I mean, you just leading me. That's what I like about you. What were you doing before you were a professional?
I was in the Navy for 8 years, but you do other jobs too. When I moved to LA, I moved to LA to do stand-up, but I still wasn't doing it. Like, I got off, I started, you know, my wife and I managed an apartment building for a couple of years. In the Navy, I was a secretary at Yeoman, so what I used to do, I did clerical work. I used to do temp jobs, you know, and I remember temping at the VA, and I went on lunch break, and I met this dude. He was an amputee, cut off at the knees. He was in his wheelchair. He was just the happiest old man. He's like, "Man, young buck, what you gonna do with your life?" And I was like, "What you talking about, man?" He said, "Man, you gonna stay here forever, or you gonna do what you supposed to do?" And And I was like, wow. And I just had to reflect on what he was saying. It was like a message from God. And I left that day to that temp job, and from that point on, which was like around late 2001, I haven't done anything but comedy since then.
Let's ask some personal questions. You're a family man.
Yeah. I hit it all the time. Never pull out.
All right, I like it.
Every chance I get, you know what I'm saying? I got 6 kids, so I drops it in. That what you saying?
That's okay. What I was getting to.
Okay.
All right. So, with all this reality TV.
No, I'm sorry.
With all this reality TV that we have nowadays, different, people, especially us black people.
Yes.
We on the screen.
El Negros.
Would you ever think of doing a reality television show? And if so, what type would it be?
Good question. Would I do a reality show? Yeah, I think I would. I wouldn't do the flavor. I mean, I'm married.
It'd be more like,
I don't know, married dudes fight back or something.
All right.
And I don't know. I do have an idea for kind of a half reality, half comedy show. But I can't get that to y'all right now because that's actually gonna happen.
All right.
So y'all stay tuned. Stay tuned.
Now this is something that everybody has. A famous quote that your grandmother, or an older person in your family, used to always say to you. You didn't understand as a child, and you get grown, and it's funny to you now.
A good quote that I live by, and it's not from my grandmother, but it's from a friend of mine. His grandfather used to tell him, if you want a job, just go on there and start working. Eventually they'll figure out you there. And I've hired like several people because of that. They just come in my life and start working. And so, a lot of times if you out there and you grinding and you hustling and you like, man, how do I get it done? Sometimes you just got to go and start working, and people will notice you. You just got, especially if you got a great work ethic and you're a hustler. People want them type of people around their life. And people, it's like a drug game. You got to give them a little bit sometimes.
Every comedian has an opinion. How do you feel about Michael Jackson? I mean, it's tragic.
Well, yeah. Well, I'm a Michael Jackson fan. I think, I had this conversation with one of my comedy friends not too long ago. Like, some things I think that we as black people, it should be kept in close company. Like I would never do a joke about Martin Luther King's infidelity.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Now the history books might say that happened or it existed, but I think that's something that we could talk about among us, but that's not the public consumption. So Michael Jackson was like that too to me. Like, people talk about Michael Jackson and whatever he was, and even Cat Williams, I mentioned him a couple of times, but he did this whole joke about Michael Jackson and Michael Jackson messed with kids. And I'm like, you don't really know that, first of all, and beyond that, that's stuff that we talk about among ourselves.
Right.
That's not for public consumption. So, I'm a fan of Michael Jackson. What the media didn't dwell on is after his death, the little boy came out and said that he fabricated the whole thing. But that wasn't big news. Nobody covered that. So, I think that guy was full of love. I can't imagine Michael Jackson being born under the sign of Virgo and being a child molester. I can't see it. We walk around with too much love. So, that's my Michael Jackson take. I never met him. I got an interesting story though. A friend of mine told me he's friends with Neo. Neo was working on Michael Jackson's record, and so he got an opportunity to be around Michael in the studio. And he was like, the first time he met him, he's like, if you need anything, let me know. Second time, he's like, if you need anything, just let me know. I got you guys. Then like the third time, he's like, he cool? Like, yeah, Mike, he cool. He's my boy. He's gonna be around. He's like, oh, okay. Hey, dog. Let me know. I got you. Then Michael Jackson was talking like a regular dude.
Yeah.
So I was like, what? And I've heard like several different people tell similar stories that Michael Jackson, like, his voice wasn't as falsetto as we think.
Well, he was an entertainer. So when he came, he was taught that he came
and if you really trip off of it, think of every kid that's had that type of high-pitched voice. The minute their voice changed, people leave them alone. So maybe he realized that and said, you know what? I'm gonna rock this forever. ugly nigga right there. I don't know if y'all saw that. Terrible. It's silly.
Thank you for watching SlapStik TV. Now that was Real Talk with our main man, Rodney Perry himself. Stay tuned for next week's episode with comedy genius Kevin Hart here on
SlapStik.
SlapStik.
SlapStik. SlapStik. SlapStik. SlapStik. SlapStik.
SlapStik. SlapStik TV. SlapStik. Shut it down. SlapStik. Shut it down. Shut it down.
Let me ask you, what kind of car do you drive?
Right now, I currently have a Mitsubishi Galant, but I'm looking at making a purchase. It is not good, great, but I'm looking at purchasing a Camaro. I like it. They let me drive it over the weekend. I just want it now.
So
I think I want to be night riding.
So that just feels pretty good. You can go and pick your car now instead of picking the car to give you, back when you broke. And they're just telling you what your money can fit you in.
Yeah, well, they still tell you that. They still tell you that. Yeah, there's always a budget. But for every level, there's things that you can't get. So there's always something to aspire to beyond where you are. So like right now, I'm getting a Camaro because I can't get the Corvette.
All right, we just want to know.